Regulation win tonight would mean that the Avs are guaranteed at minimum the third seed in the Central Division. Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. We got Biggie and Rudo coming to you live as the Avs are taking on the St. Louis Blues for the second time in about a week. Avs, of course, dropped the first one. Blues are the hottest team in the NHL with an 11-game win streak. Avs arguably the second hottest team in the NHL as they're 14-2-2 in their last 18. So very, very good stuff happening for both of these teams as of late. Biggie, I got a fun little stat for you here. Scott Wedgwood, in his time with the Colorado Avalanche, has given up 33 goals in 17 appearances, 16 of those being starts. The Colorado Rockies have given up 30 runs in 7 games. So Scott Wedgwood may be better than the entirety of the Rockies bullpen by himself. Just throwing that out there.
That's what we're supposed to do, right? Bet when the Rockies are ahead. You know, yeah. Is that what we're supposed to do? That's what AJ does.
Bet against the Rockies when their bullpen comes in. You'll make a lot of money, I promise.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to it tonight. This is going to be a fun game. I'm looking really, like I said, I got not the jitters, but I'm excited. I just got a little bit of an iced coffee, get the caffeine going, and looking forward to watching that game.
Milestones seem to be the storyline around the NHL as of right now. Obviously, Makar hit 30 goals the other night. Alex Ovechkin tied Gretzky's record last night. For the Avs, the milestone watch on this one is Nathan MacKinnon, 2 points away from equaling the Avalanche all-time points total of Joe Sakic. MacKinnon had 1,013. Sakic had 1,015 in an Avs jersey. Obviously, when you take the whole franchise in Quebec, there's about 550 more points from Sakic that MacKinnon has to chase down there. But in an Avs jersey, MacKinnon could equal or break that record tonight or over the next handful of games. So something to keep an eye on there as MacKinnon also tries to chase down an Art Ross and another Hart Trophy. It's interesting, E. I don't know exactly what you put in your 3 keys, but when you look at this portion of the season, do you lean on your stars a little bit? And like, let's be honest, these games, as we've talked about for the last couple, are really not all that meaningful for Colorado. Do you expect your stars to be the ones to do the heavy lifting in those type of games, or do you try and get a little bit more out of your depth?
Yeah, my answer is I get it. I'm with you. Like, it's hard. We talked about it, human nature games, right? About sometimes, you're not really moving in the standings. I understand mathematically you can, but we all know that it won't happen, right? So it's side of things, and that's what Bednar talked about the other day. Now, do you expect they had their run? The 12-2, whatever, 14 wins in 16 games, whatever it was, a couple games ago. Now I understand it's to play the last 5 games. You want to make sure you get out of there injury free. You want to make sure you get out of there, feeling decent about your game. I understand all that, but you do have a couple quizzes right before the big final, right? Sure. Which is the playoffs. And I believe tonight's a quiz. You know what I mean? Because you want to make sure you're ready to go. And maybe they haven't been on top of their games the last 3-4 games, right? We're talking emotionally invested in games. And even that St. Louis game, they weren't really involved in it. You and I know that, which is fine.
They haven't played their A game in a while. Sure.
They're not their A game, But tonight, I do believe, as a coach, you're like, hey, guys, got a few days off. Let's play the game tonight. We have the hottest team in the league. They're in our division. We might see them on the course somewhere. Who knows, right? We've seen crazier things in life. You don't know what's ahead. But it's a good test for us to stop their streak. And I think it's important for the Avalanche stars they're going to make you win. We all know that. The cream rises to the top. And the depth will help you win. We all know that. That's the difference between stars and depth. So, and goaltending and special teams. So you want to make sure, you and I talk about it all the time, the check mark. So those are the types of games tonight. You want to make sure it's a check mark, check mark, check mark. And you want to be emotionally invested in the game. You should be. They beat you. They beat you. Like where at home a few games ago, you should want to be a little bit angry. And they were a little more aggressive than you were. They were a little more invested in the game than you were. So right now, let's make sure that you respond tonight. And I'm not telling you it's the end of the day, it's do or die. They lose, they lose. But I want them to put their best foot forward. Nobody likes to lose, but put your best foot forward and make sure that you're on top and you're feeling pretty good. Then you get a couple days off. Then you go home for a couple, and then you're pretty much there, right? So maybe that's a quiz tonight. You wanna ace that quiz. That's the way I look at it tonight.
For sure, you got to find reasons to get out there and perform when you are the Colorado Avalanche. It is again Mackenzie Blackwood in goal, so the Avs are going back to him after. I think a game you and I found some confidence in Blackwood in, not because he played particularly well, but because he fought through it. So is this the game where he kind of needs to turn the corner and put in a good performance for the Colorado Avalanche start to finish?
Well, we talked about it. I'm going back to the last few games, man. They all blend in. Did McKenzie play or Wedgwood play against St. Louis? It was McKenzie, right?
Was McKenzie, I think. Let me
Yeah.
double check, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, the only reason I'm trying to say is challenge yourself, right? It's the same thing for you. You can't just turn on a switch, right? Okay, it didn't go the best the first couple periods, but you found your game afterwards. You fought through it. I'm not saying he was that bad. I'm saying that he fought through it, and then he got a 900 and won the game. So it's all good. Now, you want to beat Binnington. Why? Measure yourself against the guy that's won the cup. I don't care if you like Binnington or not. He's done it. He went to the Four Nations. He did it. He played the big game. He won it. So measure yourself a little bit, if you're McKenzie, because we all know he's never played in those Four Nations or Olympics or playoffs. So it's important for him to have a game tonight where he can measure himself against a guy that's done it, whether you like him or not. I know we don't like him in Denver. We know that, but it's all good.
It played well against the Blues last time too, right? Only gave up 2 goals, had a .926 save percentage. Avs lost because they only put one in the back of the net, but
that's right.
Encouraging stuff to build on for Blackwood there. And if he plays another good game against the Blues, you kind of start to get him on that path of feeling good heading into the playoffs. So it's positive there. Go DU.
Yeah, sorry.
You know how it is.
No. I heard a couple go DUs in there. I was like, no, you got the wrong letter. BU, not DU. Yeah, that's the BU boys, not the DU boys.
Go Terriers.
Go Terriers. It's the BU Terriers on their way to St. Louis.
All right,
Sorry, that was Cole. That was Cole Eiserman that popped in right there over the shoulder.
Eric's got
Cole likes
the
cameras.
entire BU team at his house right now.
Yeah. Cole likes cameras. In a good way, it's good.
I just didn't know we were going here, but jump off that. For the Avs,
yeah,
do they have some guys that like cameras now? Because let's be honest, on the ice, obviously they're great players, the highlight reel, yada, yada, yada. But when it comes to talking to the media, we kind of know, sometimes Nathan MacKinnon, it's not his favorite thing to do. It even seemed like at times this year, Cale Makar was growing tired of the constant media circus around the Avs, which I know realistically Colorado, one of the easier media teams in the league. But when you go out and get a guy like EJ, when you talk about Gabe Landeskog on his path back, is it important that those guys are there doing that type of media stuff almost as much as it is their on the ice product?
Oh, I think it's important. I think it's very important the way you answer, the way you show, the way you present yourself as a team, as individuals. You got to show swag. You can't be cocky, right? You got to say the right things. And I think it's important to show what you're all about. And I think it's important to want to play in the big, bright lights because that's how you win, right? You don't win in the darkness. You don't win when there's no one. You don't win when it doesn't count. That's when the work's done. but you don't get that work going. If you're not going to get there if you don't get the work in the darkness, and that's why it's important to want to shine, but you want to shine for the right reasons. And I do believe the Avalanche are a shining franchise. They are about winning. They do shine when the time comes, and I think this is their time now to shine. Absolutely.
Love you back.
All right. Fair enough. No argument on that one. E, you got 3 keys for me for today? I know sometimes you got to dig a little bit of deep with these last couple of non-meaningful games to find 3 keys.
Yeah.
And if the 3 keys are BU loses, then that's fine. I'll allow that.
No, they're pumped. They're pumped. They're ready to go to St. Louis. But I kept them simple tonight. Beat the streak, right? Yep. 11 wins in a row for the Blues. So break the streak. Be the team that breaks them. We all know, was it the Chicago Blackhawks? Was that the Avs back then, the bad Avs that broke the streak, right, for Chicago? I'm trying to remember a few years back when the Avalanche was struggling. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I was at that game. It's kind of fun. Were you? Yeah. You want to break someone's toys sometimes, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, go break their streak. They're the hottest team in hockey, and you were one of them there the last few weeks. So be on top of your game and make sure that, you that means something, because you want to disrupt people. You don't want anybody. It's like when you're playing 21 in basketball, right? The guy's not moving, and you keep giving him the ball. No, throw it a little bit to his side, make him leave his feet, go get the ball, and come back, right? You got to ice them a little bit. So break their streak. Key number 2. It's always about beating, right? Beat the belief. Those guys have the swag right now. Match the swag, match the intensity, match the work ethic. It's a home crowd for them. They love their Blues right now because they came back from basically the dead. Monty's been there. Just do the math. Like, that 11-game winning streak, they're basically like 2 games above 500 right at that time. That's incredible what they've done, especially in times that matter. Now, if you're a team that's out of the playoffs, San Jose, and you go an 11-game, I'll be like, whatever, it means nothing. So that's why it was easy for them. Those guys have been under the gun, under the pressure. I mean, obviously, Holloway's not playing tonight. He's been awesome, but he's out week to week. But, Cam Fowler, guys like that, Brober. I mean, the additions that they made, the retool along the way, you really have to, tip your hat to them because they're right there. So match that work ethic and, again, beat the belief. Number 3, beat the momentum. You know what I mean? Like, they got all the momentum going right now. And then you want to have your moment that breaks their momentum. Be a difference maker. Make it a team win. Make it a play where you become something or someone that disrupts them. And then make sure that you feel good about it. And tonight, it's beat the streak, beat the belief, and beat the momentum. Beat the Blues.
That simple. Just beat them. Problem solved right there.
Absolutely.
How legitimate do you think this Blues team is? Obviously, they're not going to enter the playoffs and win 11 games in a row and look like an unbeatable team. That's not how the playoffs work. But do you think this is a legitimate playoff team, or do you think this is a team just riding an unbelievable hot streak?
I'll tell you one thing. I do believe, at first it was like, I'm not too sure. I watched them again 2 days ago. Like, nothing bothers them. And they have guys that have done it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about the goalie, right? Like him or not, he's done it. Right now, Thomas is one of the hottest players in the league, and Kyrou. And at first I was like, I don't know. Ryan O'Reilly was there before, and Shen. And now it's their team. And they didn't really step up to the plate the last few seasons. They've had good years, but it wasn't their team. Now I do believe that this is Thomas's team. This is Kyrou's team. And this, and then they add the Brobergs and the Holloways and even the Cam Fowlers. And all of a sudden, they believe. And when you believe for so long, and Monty seems to be so good at taking over teams and making you believe in yourself and as a team and something. And man, oh man, I'll tell you one thing. They'd be a tough team to play because they've been playing on the edge for months now. I mean, or whatever it is, a month and a half, and it's crazy. And I think that it's very important for them to, the Avalanche to test themselves against a team that believes in themselves. We all know the Avalanche believe in themselves because everyone's like, oh, yeah. No one really believed in the Blues. And now it's like, hold on a second. That's a legit question you just asked. Like, are they legit? Are they for real? Or is this like a mirage? I don't know. But I do believe that they're a good team. And they're going to get in there. And who knows what they can do.
I mean, at this point, they've set themselves up. I don't want to say great. Vegas is a pretty darn good team too. But right now, the Blues sit ahead of Minnesota in the wild card to play Vegas instead of Winnipeg potentially, whatever that means to you.
Mm-hmm.
Take it with a grain of salt. But
That's right.
anyway, look, with a game like this, and obviously the number one thing is for the Colorado Avalanche, don't get hurt. No more injuries. Sounded like Bednar was pretty positive about the injuries that the Avs are dealing with right now, though no expectations tonight on that front. But I understand wanting to go in the playoffs, feeling good about your hockey team, feeling like you're in the good space. Is what you're trying to replicate for Colorado kind of what you got the other night against Columbus? And look, Elvis had a terrible night. Binnington is unlikely to play that poorly for St. Louis. But are you looking for those depth production goals, those guys that maybe haven't produced enough for you to get going? Are you trying to get those guys as involved as possible right now? Or are you trying to play the same way you would in the playoffs?
Well, there's a couple ways to look at it. I always say, like, oh God, who cares? You know, if somebody gets down, for example, they haven't scored in 10 games, they're like, oh my God, we scored 8 and I didn't even get one. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm always like, don't worry about it. You know, you save yours for when it counts, when it's a tie 1-1 game. You know what I mean? Or you look at it the other way and you go, oh, okay, good on Miles, good on Parker, good on, whoever scored last game. Charlie was his first goal as an Av, right? So it's like, sometimes you can say, "Well, you wasted them. We want you, to score when it's 1-1." No, but you can also say it gives you a little bit of a confidence builder, and that's the way I'm going to look at it from last game. It's a confidence builder for those guys. It's a feel good process, and maybe it's a 1-1 game tonight in the third period, and Charlie tucks one home. You know what I mean? I don't know. And then again, you go back to the game before it. It made you feel good. As a player, you want as much, even though you're not asked to produce. Everyone's asked to produce, but even though your main thing is not to produce, it's nice to produce because it wears on you if you don't. You know what I mean? And really, especially when those guys go dry a little bit, those top end guys, you feel so bad because you want to help them out. So I think tonight you go back and you feel pretty good that some guys kind of had the chance to feel good about their game, and maybe tonight it makes a difference. And they pot one when it matters.
So I guess let me rephrase and kind of ask the other portion of that question. Are these dry run games for the playoffs or not?
Yeah, a little bit for everything, right? You know what I mean? Because
it's hard, right? Realistically, with the guys they have out of the lineup, you know that this isn't necessarily what it's going to look like. But especially with the blender, I guess the point I'm getting at is we've seen Bednar experiment quite a bit with the lineup over the last 10-ish games. Even when the Avs are winning, he's willing to play certain guys a little bit more or less or whatever it is.
For sure.
Do you want to wrap up the season, these last 4 or 5 games of the season? Do you want to be really strict about playing your playoff style of hockey, or are you just letting these guys be free and loose with it?
Well, a little bit of everything, right? I think it's, if you're asked to play a bigger role, then it's don't change your game, don't change who you are. You know what I mean? But you might be asked to. You know what I mean? You might be asked to give it a little bit more and get a bigger piece of the pie tonight. Realistically, does that mean you'll get that piece of the pie in the playoffs? Who knows? But maybe not. And again, knock on wood, like we always do, because when it comes down to injuries, you know what I mean? Then you might have to step in, and then it's an audition. Then you go back to a couple games ago. You're like, oh yeah, in St. Louis, so and so did play right there, and it was good. So maybe that's an audition tonight. Maybe you win that audition. It's like actors, right? A lot of people kind of go for auditions. Not everybody gets called, and you want to be the guy that gets called for those, situations, and you want to feel good about yourself. And I know it's a team game. You'll rally behind anything, but you also have to have the confidence. And when you've had reps in those situations, usually makes you feel better once you're called upon to either take those situations or take a different type of situation.
Okay, let me ask you one more question here, and then we'll get to our crystal ball.
Yeah.
You could choose, not knowing the score either way, a game where the Avalanche have 40 shots on goal, or a game where the Avs give up less than 20 shots on goal. Which one would you pick?
Well, I'm going to pick because I do believe defense wins championships. You know what I mean? So I do believe that. I do believe the Avalanche, once they figured that one out back, a few years back, that doesn't mean that you're not going to score goals, but that means that you got to pay attention to your habits on the defensive side of the puck. That doesn't mean that you take away creativity, but I do believe when you get one of those games where you do give up below 20 shots on that, whatever, that you did something right. That means you had the puck. That means you did right things with the puck, right decisions. Your uh, your decisions on the rush were on the right frame of what you're trying to do as a team. Uh, Again, you're blocking shots. Your decision making in the back end is good when you're in trouble. You will be in trouble at some point during a game. It's not going to happen when you're not in trouble. It just happens. There'll be a misread. There'll be a blown tire. There'll be a, you know what I mean? And how do you recover from that? How do you collapse down low and block all those shots? Have some good stick, right? Good stick lucky. Not just defensemen with forwards. Are you tight as a unit, right? 5-man units, everybody in sync, everybody together. You do that, usually you get under 20 shots. That's just the way the Avs are. The Avs are so good. That's the way it is. So if you do that, I'm not worried about it because you'll score goals because that's just the way it is. But you'll win the game.
You're consistent, buddy. I try to get you to counteract some of your three keys, but no, you stick with them all the way. You know what you're doing out here.
I do. I'm not messing around.
All right. Give me a name. Give me a number. What you got in the crystal ball for this one, E?
Yeah, I'm going 4-2 Avs. That's tonight. And I think the guy I'm going to say right now, I think he's been good. He's been a little bit frustrated because he hasn't really connected the last couple games. I'm not talking about all year long. So I'm going to take the big train, the big Val Natushkin, and I'm going 4-2. And I think Val is an absolute menace on the ice today.
Good. I need the step up from Val. I think that's one of the guys you're looking to break out a little bit based on their last stretch. I'll undercut you. I usually take the higher score. I'm going to take the lower score today. I'm going to go 3-1 on this one for the Avs. I do think we'll see a solid effort from them top to bottom tonight. And you never know. They could show up in the first period and be lazy and not do that. But I think they will show up and play well. And I'm going to take a guy that, is probably a little bit due. Jack Drury. I want to see Jack put one in the back of the net again. Not that the fourth line hasn't been good for the Avs. Obviously, they've had a couple of goals between Kelly and O'Connor, who's kind of been bouncing up to the third line with these injuries, but they've been solid. Would like to see Jack get a little bit of that offensive confidence going. Those depth guys are always good for, or need to be good for a couple of big goals in the playoffs when you get there, if you really want to do the thing. So hopefully he can get that confidence, be one of those guys for the Avs here. Not going to overthink this one too much. Result here, again, doesn't really matter. Not the way the Avs play matters to me. If they look terrible and it sucks, then that sucks. But if the game doesn't go the Avs' way, it really doesn't have a whole lot of meaning with what's left in this season. So just looking for the Avs to play solid hockey and no one getting injured for the most part for me. Let's jump into my pregame picks, of course, presented by Bet365, where things are never ordinary. Had a little bit of fun. Went with a couple of other games around the league today. Did take the Avs to win, of course, down at the bottom there. If you take the Canes, Avs, and Jets, you get about plus 400 on three teams that probably should win. Took the Avs to win more periods at plus 115, and then it took them holding the Blues to less than 2 goals. Like I said, I think the Avs play sound, solid defense in this one. They limit the Blues' offensive ability. The Blues also, if you look across this streak, they're not scoring a ton of goals. Obviously, they're scoring well. You got to score some goals to win 11 games in a row. But this is not a team that's regularly going out there and dropping 6-7 goals on teams. They beat the Avs 2-1, obviously. They followed that up by beating Detroit 2-1. They don't really blow teams out, really. They're winning a lot of games close. They're winning a lot of games relatively low scoring. So hold them to a little bit. You'll feel pretty good. Anyway, do have a couple more thoughts here to get into. I'm curious your thoughts, more of not necessarily front office, but more of like coaches room stuff this time of year. Obviously, you want all your details to be good every single night. Coaches are crazy people that are always obsessed with that type of stuff. But when you go into a game like this, when you go into it with especially some of the top 6 pieces missing as a coach, how are you focusing on your players' performance, I suppose? When you're talking about the blender, what triggers a move of a guy up a lineup on any given night right now?
Well, I'm going to give you that same old boring answer. It comes down to details. So if the details of your game are good, you can play with anybody. Is that sustainable? Like, for example, a fourth liner to play with MacKinnon for a couple games. Yeah, it's fine for a couple games. We all know after a while, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you're getting opportunities, but you're not burying them because you're not a top line guy, right? You know what I mean? You're not beating goalies like Marty can. But just to go play one game, look no further than last game. Natchez, Druin, those are 2 top 6 guys that weren't there, that are not there tonight. And you score 8 against a team that you thought was going to be very good, considering where they are in the standings and the type of game that they were playing, right? You know what I mean? Like the importance of the game. And the Avs score 8, right? It was 8, 8-3, whatever. Yeah, 8-3.
7.
I know there's 7, I'm sorry. I keep going to 8, I don't know why. But touchdown. So, yeah, I'm not worried about it. Now, tonight you got Jimmy Vesey with Brock Nelson, Ross Colton. I should have picked Vesey. You know what I mean?
Fair
Because
shout.
I do. You know what I mean? Like, because Jimmy can do it. He's played there before. You know what I mean? Not lately in his career, but earlier in big games in his career, he's played there. So I think it's more like it's an audition, but it's like, go do what you do best. Don't try to become something you're not. And you know my line, the stupid line, right? When a crusher tries to become a rusher, offense become an usher, right? We don't want that. You go play the game the right way. And if you get success, and then they're going to tell you what to do. You know what I mean? Are you still playing in that position? Things change quickly in the National Hockey League. You get a guy that gets ejected for the rest of the game or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You got a guy that gets hurt. Like, so it's always important. And in playoffs, every shift and every minute matters. So if a guy can slot in, he slots in. So I think those are big, important games for some of the guys, for Vesey, for Wood, for guys that have not been in. And we all know Landy probably coming in soon, right? So again, that's another body, right? You know what I mean? And you're hoping by that time everybody's back. Sounds like everybody's back. It doesn't sound like anybody's obviously gone for months, knock on wood, but you're always auditioning. Always.
Bednar didn't come out and say it, but the way he phrased it sure sounded like Druin and Natchez will be fine for the playoffs. Put it to you that way.
Yeah. I think it's more like, okay, great. Take it easy now.
I mean, Natchez
somebody else.
Sounds like pretty good chance Natchez will be back Tuesday. We'll see on Druin.
Yeah.
But so I guess, yes, you love the details. I get it. That's coaching. But are there times when you look at take a Marty Natchez, right? Super high talent, super high end offense, but maybe plays a little bit riskier at times. How do you balance giving that guy more time on ice, especially if you're chasing a game, as opposed to someone like a MacKinnon who's going to do all those details correctly?
Well, you have to learn. The Avalanche learned before 2022, right? They learned the hard way before. They learned there's times it's clock and score, right? You got to know the situation you're in, and sometimes it's not there. I don't care that you're a skilled guy. If it's not there and you're up by 2 and there's 12 seconds left in the period, there's no need to try to make that play. If it's not there, it's not there. Then they turn around, they go score. That's a huge goal. It's probably a goal that changes the game around and sometimes the series around. So you have to know score and you have to know time. And it's very important that as a player, you know that. And some guys, it takes them a while to understand. But I think the Avalanche understood that before 2022, and that's how they won. Because they were smart, everybody's on the same page. And not once you've done it, you all know how to do it. And that's where the standards are set. And that's why the new guys come in and whatever it is. And then you set that standard to make sure that they're ready to go and everybody's on the same page.
Dude, can I just say, like, obviously Avs fandom has been a bit doomer over the past couple of years at times, but I'm so proud of the Avs fans that they never were seriously saying to trade their best players. Nuggets are down bad right now. Don't trade Jokic. They'll be fine. Relax.
Is that what I see there? Yeah, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, Nuggets world was melting down the other night. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Instead of that,
I just want to confirm same lineup as last game.
Yes. It is indeed
Perfect.
the same lineup. And on that note, it is just about time for puck drop. So we do have to wrap up this pregame show. Of course, when you do gamble with Bet365, make sure you're 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. And once you get your bets in, come join us for the watch along. We'll be watching this entire game, and then we'll have post game after. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche pregame show, and we'll talk to you in a little bit.
We all silly like the mayor.